Hey, what's up, guys? It's Foster from English no Cru. As you probably know, we are taking a quick break from recording new episodes of English no Cru Haju because we are focusing all of our time and energy on Sound School. Sound School is our pronunciation and conversation course. It is a conversation masterclass. If you like this show and you are serious about taking your English to the next level, Sound School is the place to be. Because we work personally with each one of our students, we can only accept a limited number of students at a time. So if you're interested in really speaking more confidently, improving your accent, understanding native speakers, and all of that other cool stuff, go to inglesnocru.com to start working personally with me and Alexia. Okay, we will get on with the show after a quick word from our sponsors. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Foster from English no Cru. Part of my voice, I am under the weather today, but I just wanted to tell you really quick while Alexia is talking to some Portuguese cats and an old Portuguese man about Cambly. So, Cambly is an online platform where you can find English teachers live 24/7. It's pretty incredible. Honestly, just English teachers at the click of a button. If this existed in Portuguese, my mind would be blown. You can take classes in the car, you can take classes when you're walking, you can take classes of 15 minutes or of 1 hour. It is one of the coolest things I've seen in the language learning market in a long, long time. So just go to Cambly.com or download the Cambly app on your iPhone, Android, whatever, and use the code English no Cru to get your first class for free. Okay, on with the show. Oi, fala aí pessoal, bom dia. Você está escutando o Inglês no Rádio. I am your host, Foster Hodge. This is your daily dose of English. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of English no Cru Rádio. Today we have a special guest, Ricardo, a student of mine, probably, I think it's safe to say, the most advanced student that I have. So, Ricardo, what's up? How are you doing?
Hey man, what's up? I'm very fine, and you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate you doing this. So, Ricardo, if you could just tell people a little bit about who you are, where you're from, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Ricardo Leães, and I'm from Porto Alegre, which is in southern Brazil, and I'm a research at the Economic Foundation here in Rio Grande do Sul, my state, and I'm also a PhD candidate in political science. And I think that probably want to talk about the fact that I've been taking classes with you for I don't know, maybe over a year or something like that, even though we went and stopped for a really long time. So I don't know how many classes we've had so far. But
Yeah, honestly, I have no idea. We've kind of been on and off, but I would say
yeah,
for maybe a year, more or less.
yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
It's been really nice to me, man. And I think that when we started the classes, I already had a nice level of English, but I think that with your help and your tips and with being able to talk about anything that I wanted to talk about, I think I was able to get much farther than I actually expected to. And I think that right now I'm much more confident about my English and my speaking skills than I ever was. And I'm very happy about that.
I'm very happy about it too, but I think you are giving me too much credit, but I appreciate it. So, Ricardo, when we started, like you said, you already had a super high level of English. Like I think everyone would consider or would have considered your level to be very advanced. Can you tell me just a little bit about how did you get there? How did you start speaking English so well?
Yeah, I think this is a very complicated question for me because I started taking English classes when I was probably 11, but then I took some classes for 1 year, 1 year and a half in a very regular English course in my city, and I don't think it was a wonderful course or anything. I think this was a very traditional course based on very traditional learning methods, and I think it helped me to uh, understanding a few things and learning a few key aspects of the language, but I don't think it helped me a lot. And then
Yeah.
I stopped studying, I mean, formally for a few years. And I went back to, to the classes when I was 16, so 4 or 5 years later. And then I studied for maybe 4 months or 5 months, and it was with a very good teacher, very good English teacher. It was still a very traditional school, but it was a much more cooler teacher. So he was able to help me a lot. And then I went to London. I stayed there for 1 month. And even though it was a very nice experience in terms of traveling and knowing different things, different places, a different culture. I don't think it was very good in terms of learning the language. I expected much more. Maybe that's
Yeah.
just my fault. Maybe I expect too much of things, but I
No, that always happens to all of every student that I've had. They always expect that when they travel to a place, immediately their language skills are just gonna take off, and it never
yeah,
happens like that.
yeah. And right now, I think I know why it doesn't happen. I think it doesn't happen because we're not exposed to English as we should be. I think that for many years, I had a nice level of English because at college I read a lot in English and I saw a lot of movies, a lot of sitcoms and series, TV series, a lot of Netflix, and it really helped me learning many, many things. But that's not the same as talking. And
Yeah.
I think that with you, and I gave you that much credit, and it was not to flatter you. It's because I really believe it. Because I think with you, I was finally able to talk, and to talk about anything. And I think this is extremely important in order to learn any language, in order to achieve a higher level of fluency. I think you have to talk about anything. I mean, your daily life. Uh, you have to try and explain difficult situations that you've been to. I think you have to try and explain your work, your research. I mean, everything you talk about in your own native language. I think you have to talk about in a foreign language in order for you to be really an advanced learner.
Yeah, yeah. I think so. One of the things that we've done a lot is more or less just choosing a random topic and then forcing you to talk about it. And it always turns into like a really good debate. But something I've noticed over the last year is I think you've developed much more of your personality in English. Like at first, I was like, wow, this guy speaks really good English. He's researching this and this. But nowadays, it feels like you were saying things the exact way you would want to say them in Portuguese. Like I can really see your personality shine through. And I think that's a really good marker of like, okay, you made it. or you
Yeah, I
can
mean,
talk.
I'm very flattered about that, and I think that really that happened, and I think it was not easy, and there's no secret. You just have to talk and have to expose yourself. You have to. I mean, it may be a cliche, but it's 100% true. You have to get out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
and that's hard for anyone, and I think maybe the hardest step for anyone to learn a language or maybe learn any skill at all is to realize the fact that learning anything is like learning how to ride a bike.
Exactly.
You are going to fall. You have to accept that, and it's normal for you to fall. And I think that most of the time with any learning process, we are not used to accepting the fact that we are going to fall, and that's part of the process. And that makes us, that's not only part of the process, that's uh, necessary for us to get
Yeah, it's
better,
fundamental.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen unless you fall. And I know many in Brazil, I know most people who have a very nice level of English, but they don't talk because they are afraid of making grammar mistakes, or they are afraid of getting stuck about not knowing some very specific word. And I think that prevents them from moving further.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I know that you and I have made the analogy a lot of like physical activity, like CrossFit and functional training, that kind of things.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
I mean, this is a podcast, so people cannot see us, but I think most people would recognize we are not like super athletic people. We're both kind of academics. And so for me to go to the gym, like that sucks. I have to really suck at something for a long time before I start seeing results. And it's the same thing with language.
Yeah, but I think maybe that's the whole problem. You go and you start doing something expecting results. You don't start doing something just because you like it. And how are you going to get any results if you don't like it? And for many years, I've tried everything that I've tried in my life. I've tried expecting very nice results. And whenever I got them, I felt proud about myself and I kept on going. But I think that's not the best way of doing anything. I think if you're going to start learning something, and it doesn't matter if it's a language, if it's a sport, if it, what kind of activity it is. I think it takes courage to learn a new thing, especially if that's not something that you're not a natural at. And I think that the key to keep going, keep moving on is just deciding, okay, I am going to fall. That's all right. It doesn't matter if there are many others who are better than me at this. I do this because I like it. I do this because I get some, I don't know, because it excites me, because it makes me well, not because I'm going to get extremely good results or anything. So I
Yeah.
think that lowering your expectations and maybe just not having any expectations at all, or just expecting to enjoy the activity while you are doing it, not the results. And I think that's important because otherwise you're going to be frustrated whenever things don't turn out the way you want them to be. And
Yeah.
that's going to happen most of the time, because life is unpredictable. So it's normal for stuff not turning out as well as you want them to.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Um, there's kind of a famous Danish phrase, or at least I think it comes from Denmark, but Denmark is always ranked the number one, or at least in like the top three happiest countries in the world. And the phrase is like, what is the key to happiness? To lower your expectations. So I
Yeah.
think not focusing on results and kind of focusing more on the process and the
Yeah,
experience.
maybe it's not lowering. I said that. I said lowering your expectations, but maybe it's not that. Maybe it's not about, because when you talk about lowering your expectations, you are talking about results. Maybe you don't have to lower your expectations. You just have to change them. You have to
Yeah.
just expect to enjoy that activity, and that's it. You know,
Yeah.
because maybe when we talk about lowering your expectations, you say, oh, so I'm not going to be in a very advanced student or something. I'm going to be an intermediate student. No, that's not it. You have to enjoy the activity itself and not the process itself and not the results. It's not about getting less results. It's about not thinking about the results.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do think it's difficult,
It is.
especially at the beginning of any process. So, what would you say to people that, for example, I think you and I, we both enjoy languages. You've also learned other languages, and it's something that we truly enjoy. But for most people, especially in the beginning, like learning English when you can't really speak and you don't really understand the grammar is not fun for most people. So, do you have any recommendations or ideas about maybe how to make it more fun or how to get yourself out of your element or out of your comfort zone a little bit?
Yeah, I think first of all we have to acknowledge the fact that most language courses are not fun for students, you know. So it's
Yes.
not the students' fault if they feel frustrated, if the results are not being as well as they want them to be. That's maybe the first step we have to take because it's important that students don't feel frustrated and they don't feel, oh, okay, I'm unable to learn this. No one is unable to learn any language. I mean, everyone speaks at least one language. So
Yeah.
if you were able to learn it, you are able to learn a second one. Of course, I'm not saying that it's going to be just as easy because of course it won't, but you have it in you, you know. So it's possible for anyone to learn any language. That does not mean that it's going to be easy for sure. I mean, uh, English for me, maybe it was not that hard because I speak Portuguese as a native language, and English and Portuguese have many similarities. So maybe for a Chinese, I know a Japanese guy, it would be much, much harder. But I actually think that it would be necessary for any students, anyone who starts studying a language and are very frustrated over the fact that it's not getting the results they want them to. I think it would be best for them to start with, I don't know, with something that would have uh, a start and then an ending. You know, I think that there are for almost any language we have. There is very nice tools designed to get people to understand simple phrases, simple sentences in
Mhm.
any language. And I think this gives the sensation, at least it gave it to me when I was studying any language, that I was able to read something from the beginning to the end, you know. And I think this is important, you know, to to have the sensation that you are able to understand a full sentence, you know, a full context. I think that may be the best way to start learning anything, you know. Even if it's really small, it's like learning how to a new sport, you know. You of course you're not going to become the best player in the first few months that you started doing it, but you might be able to know how to do a few things well. And I think that knowing you can do a few things well is extremely important for you to move along, you know.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like to think of this as kind of creating milestones or
Yeah,
like
for sure.
small victories, especially for a beginning student. Like the first time you have a real conversation with someone, even if it is the most basic, like, hey, my name's Foster, I'm a teacher. The first time that you can connect with someone and they understand you, that's a huge moment where you're like, whew, thank God I passed that step. And then you can kind of get the ball rolling from there. I think those small victories are important.
Especially because they are not small victories, you know, they are huge victories because you
Yeah.
decided to learn a new language, and that's not easy as it's not easy to start a new sport or any activity whatsoever. So I think that knowing you have already progressed, knowing you have already developed any skills, I think this is something huge. And as I said, it takes courage to learn anything. So I remember when I was at college that I had a few friends who were studying Chinese, and I've never studied Chinese, but anyone says that Chinese is a very hard language and it takes a lot of time. It's very
Yeah. Yeah.
frustrating. And I remember they had been studying Chinese for a few months, and one of them actually was watching a Chinese movie, and he understood one word of the movie. I mean, without the subtitles. He was watching with the subtitles, but at some point, even without the subtitles, he was able to understand one word, one little word, and he was extremely happy. Like, I was watching a Chinese movie and I got one word. And it may seem small if we are comparing to a language which we probably know, I don't know, hundreds, 100,000 words. But
Yeah.
that was not small for him, because it's hard. So I think that you have to take into account everything you learn, everything you can master, so that you can build the confidence to take a step farther.
Yeah. I 100% agree. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of Inglês no Rádio. If you like what we do, if you want to support the show, here's what you can do. Leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Android, wherever you listen to the podcast. It really helps other people discover the show. And you can sign up for our VIP newsletter. So each time we release new courses, early discounts for Sound School, new worksheets, special discounts, the people on our newsletter are the first to know. So if you are interested in the things we are doing, go to inglesnucru.com and sign up. And as always, keep up the good fight and lose well. Até já.